steady deep inhale, a steady deep exhale. Let your breath find a steady natural rhythm. And then join me, we'll chant 3 Oms all together. Take a steady breath in. Om. And keep those side edges of your chest particularly lifted. Lower your head down. And take your hands down. Lift your head and open your eyes. Okay, so if you have anything on your mat, you'll clear your mat. And some of you might want to have a couple of blocks handy. We're going to start in Uttanasana. So in Uttanasana, that's our classic forward bend. We're folding at the hips, and I want my back to be in a neutral position, my legs in a Tadasana neutral position. So the particular movements in the feet or the particular actions in the feet that I'm most interested in is that you're taking your whole foot and you're really pinching your feet into the floor. Not so much pinching and gripping just the toes, but you should feel that the whole footprint presses into the floor. So if we're standing in between the blocks for, or sorry, not in between, but back away from the blocks, feet are together, pinch both feet down, and now everyone just fold forward. You can take your hands to the block, or you can also have hands to the floor. So if you're on the blocks or on the floor, have just your fingertips on the floor. Then from here, press your fingertips down. Again, turn your inner arms forward. So we're using that arm action to take the chest forward. And now as you press your feet into the floor, pinch your toes into the floor. When you take the pinky side of the foot and press the pinky side of the foot down, just notice and observe how that changes the structure or the muscularization of your legs. But then pressing that pinky side of the foot down, now turn your inner thighs back at the same time. So pinky side of the foot is down, inner thighs are back at the same time. And now we have a pretty solid muscularization of both an internal rotation and an external rotation. Pinky toes help us screw those femurs into the hip socket. Inner thighs back help us to get a little bit deeper into that forward fold. Then bend your knees, walk your hands forward, plant both palms down, and we'll take downward facing dog. So you're stepping your feet back, palms down, arms straight, legs straight, stretching your heels back. Then here in this downward dog, see if you can take the same leg action. That the pinky toes press down and the inner thighs move back at the same time. Pinky toes down, inner thighs back at the same time. Bend your knees, walk your feet forward, your hands backward, feet together, Uttanasana again. This time, take your hands and move them in line with your feet. So my head is still facing down, look, my eyes looking towards my big toes. Fingertips press into the ground or into the blocks. Turn your inner arms forward. And as you press their pinky toes down, again, turn your inner thighs strongly back. Inner thighs strongly back, even as you're pressing the pinky toes down. Then another dog. Bend your knees, take your hands forward, step your feet back. Both hands deep into the floor. Both feet deep into the floor. And if the heels are on the floor, fantastic. If they're not, they can stay just lifted into the air. But press your pinky toe side of the foot down and turn your inner thighs back at the same time. Pinky toe side of the foot down, and inner thighs back at the same time. And one more Uttanasana, stepping forward, feet together. Again, your feet are in line with your hands, hands aligned with your feet. Look down at your big toes. Press your feet into the floor, pinky toe side of the foot to the floor. And when you push your fingertips down, either into the floor or into the blocks, roll your inner arms forward. So we're using the arm action to traction the chest forward, the leg action to traction the hips backward. Pinky toe side of the foot down, inner thighs back. Good, bend your knees. Last downward dog, hands to the floor. Step your feet back. Pinky toe side of the foot down, inner thighs back. Press your arms down and into the floor. And try and get as much length in your trunk. Good, then come down to your knees. Knees wide, big toes together. Rest your forehead to the floor. Okay. So for some of you, we're going to set up in a Shirshasana headstand, and some of you are going to stay with Ardha Shirshasana, our half headstand. Everyone's going to start in Ardha, and I'll show you after I tuck my shirt in. So you could have your mat folded, or you can, I've just been using a blanket underneath my headstand. Either way, it's the same sort of, want a little bit of cushion so that your head doesn't get so bruised, but not so much cushion that it's off balancing you. So when we take Ardha Shirshasana, Ardha is half, Shirsha is our headstand. I'm still interlacing my fingers as I would before. I'm still walking my head into my hand. I'm still taking that index finger side of my hand and pressing that index finger side of my hand into my head. But now I'm only walking my feet in, and I'm just going to lift one leg at a time. Watch me first. So I'm pressing my index fingers into my head, and now my knees can be bent or straight, but what I'm looking to do is create as much length as possible between my toes and my head, my toes and my head. And then I can switch to the other side. Toes on my head, toes on my head, toes on my head. I want to reach my toes as far as I can away from my head. Okay. Two actions that I'm really looking for you to get is when you're reaching your toes away from your head, I want you to flex your butt. Flex your butt. This is a butt flexor. Flex your butt. Second thing is that as you're reaching your toes away from your head, feel that your low abs, your belly, can actually give you more height, more lift. Here we go. So Ardha Shirshasana first. Go ahead.
Is flex your butt, turn your tailbone in, under, push?
No.
Like a pelvic rock?
Here I flex my bicep. When I straighten my arm, I flex my tricep. When I'm folded forward, I'm flexing my hip flexors. When I'm unfolding, I'm gripping and flexing my butt and pushing my butt forward. So I'm not tucking my tail at all. And I just want my butt to be like Jennifer Lopez, big booty, really a big like Popeye bicep flexion.
So you're engaging the glutes basically.
100%, all of them really flexing, because the more we engage the glutes, the more you flex here, the more we open up those hip flexors.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, here we go. Interlace your fingers, press your forearms down, and as you walk your head in, you're bringing your index fingers to like the base of your occiput. And now press your index fingers into your head and then lift your right leg up. When you lift the right leg up, now flex your right glute, really flex that glute, and now lift your belly to your tail, lift your tail as high up as you can, and then lower the right leg down. We'll switch to the left. Left leg is up. At first you raise it, it's just kind of heavy in the air. press your forearms into the floor, index fingers into your head, and now flex your left butt so that you can lift your toes as high as you can. And then use the flexion of your left butt and your belly lifting, your tail lifting, to take your tail all the way up sky high. Then lower your left leg, come down and rest. Okay. Some of you are going to stay with Ardha Shirshasana. You're going to take right leg and left leg and right leg and left leg. Others of you are going to go into our classic headstand. In headstand, it's the same cues, flexing your butt and lifting your belly, your tail to your heels. What we want is for, again, for that straight stack, right? As if we're standing in Tadasana, but the muscularization of the straight stack has to be that the back body flexes more than the front body. Here we go. Interlace your fingers. Walk your head in. And then those of you lifting and lowering, you're gonna go back and forth, right to left, right to left. And each time, as you're lifting and lowering, feel as though that it's from the action of your butt flexing, the action of the butt flexing and the belly lifting and the tail lifting, that you can really get the feet far away from the head. And as you go back and forth, one to the other, feel that there's a lightness, that your abdomen could actually lift you all the way up. Those of you in headstand, this isn't going to be a very long headstand, but I do want you to continue to press your arms down. I do want you to continue to flex your butt, to turn your inner thighs back, and at the same time, lift your tail all the way up to your feet. And lifting your tail as high as you can, all the way to your feet. See, can you get more space in the rib cage? Can you get more space, the hips moving away from the armpits moving away from the floor? We're just going to hold for a few more seconds. And those of you on the floor, go back and forth once more to each side. And then headstanders, slowly lower yourself down. And rest your forehead to the floor. So when we work in these sort of intense muscular ways, particularly in headstand, I don't like to hold those for so long because I want you to put so much effort into it. We're going to come back a little bit later, maybe today, but for sure this week, we're going to be working on the muscularization of extension. Okay, so clear your mats now. The same sort of belly action that we've been working, what day is it? For the past few weeks, for the past few months, where we're taking the side waist, and instead of the side waist pushing our ribs forward to stand upright, we're taking the side waist and we want to try and fill up the space laterally across our low back ribs. So from the side, I just realized I wore kind of a baggy shirt today, so hopefully you can see. But from the side, rather than me standing upright and my low back ribs pressed inward, I want to sit upright with my belly moving back. So you can see I'm not losing any height here. In fact, if anything, I have a stronger structure because my belly's moving back and filling up these space, this hourglass space at the back of my low ribs. Okay, so when we come to standing, we'll do a couple of standing poses, and we're not going to hold any of them for very long. The first one, Uttita Trikonasana, triangle pose. So we'll come into this together. Everyone come up to your mats or your feet on your mats. Bring your fingertips together, bend your knees, jump or step your legs wide. And now here, before we take the full pose, turn your inner arms up, outer arms down. So biceps or inner bicep is rolling up to the ceiling. And now with your arms turned out this way, this is an external rotation. lift your side armpit again. Keep that side armpit lifted, and then you can turn your palms back to face the floor. Now, right leg turns out 90 degrees, left leg turns in. Reach out over the right leg, take your hand to the leg, you can take your hand to the leg, to the floor, or to a block. But here, on your back leg, press your pinky toe to the floor and take your back innermost upper side backward. Just like we did when we were in Uttanasana. Pinky toe to the floor, inner thigh back. Then fill up those back spaces of the low ribs and move your head away from your tail away from your head. Press both feet to the floor, come all the way up. We'll switch sides. Left leg is out, right leg is in. Again, it's the pinky toe side of the foot that presses down and the innermost upper thigh that rolls backward. Out over your left leg, hand to the floor or to your leg or to the block. Take your right side pinky toe into the floor, turn your rightmost inner upper thigh back. And now as you fill up the space in the low back ribs on both sides, take the crown of your head away from your tail away from the crown of the head. Pinky toe side down, innermost upper thigh back. Press both feet deep into the floor. Inhale, up you come. Toes forward, and come back to Tadasana. So that back leg action will take into Utthita Parjakonasana. And just to be clear, when the pinky toe side of the foot presses down, the inner thigh moves back. These are two opposing actions, working front body, back body, so that we can get as much extension and strength. All right, here we go. Parjakonasana. Fingertips together. Bend your knees, jumper step. Right leg is out. Left leg is in. Pinky toe side of your left foot down. Innermost upper left thigh back. And now bend your right knee to 90. Reach over your right leg. Your forearm can come to the top of your knee, or you can have fingertips to the floor. But we're looking again, pinky toe side of your foot into the floor, innermost upper left thigh back. Pinky toe side of the foot to the floor, innermost upper left thigh back. And now, take a deep breath in and fill up that space in your low back ribs. And as you fill up the space in the low back ribs, if you can start to turn your chest to the ceiling. And back to center, up you come. We'll switch to the left. Left leg is out, right leg is in. Arms to the side. And again, pinky toe side of the foot presses down, innermost upper left or right side goes back. Reach over the left leg. Right arm comes near the ear. As you press that pinky toe side of the foot down and turn the innermost upper left, right thigh backward, then you've got some length and strength in that back leg particularly. From there, fill up the low back ribs. And as you fill up those low back ribs, start to turn your face, your chest to the ceiling. And back to center, up you come. Come back to Tadasana. Okay. The two Virabhadrasana poses, Virabhadrasana 1 and Virabhadrasana 2. Completely different looking postures, except for the fact that there's a back leg that's straight and a front leg that's bent. What changes is the turn of the trunk. So when we take Virabhadrasana 2, we're going to start first laying down. So maybe you have a strap handy. I think this is going to be a good view. But what I'm doing here in Virabhadrasana 2, my left leg is my straight back leg. I'm just going to step it out to the other side of the mat. So now my left foot is off the mat. I'm turning my left toes in slightly, and I'm pushing that heel to the floor. My right leg, I can actually strap just behind the knee and turn this leg out to the side. So I have not an exact, but an almost exact positioning of the legs that we would do in Virabhadrasana 2. So do that now with your right leg out to the side, your left leg is straight. with your right leg to the side, and I'm holding, my elbow is resting on the floor, and I'm holding kind of a pistol grip behind the back of the knee, where the strap is behind the knee. Don't let your foot drop to the floor. Your foot needs to stay in line with your knee. Then take your left arm and reach it out to the left side, even with your shoulder. Now, you can feel that the left side of your low back is more lifted off the floor than the right side of your low back. Take your belly in and try to both broaden, to spread, to widen the rib cage, and see if you can get the left side of the back ribs to come to the floor, or rather, the back side of the left ribs to come to the floor. So there's some abdominal muscular action to get the left side of the back ribs down. Good. Let's bring the right leg back to center. We'll switch sides. So now, the left leg is bent, the right leg is straight. I'm stepping my right foot, my whole right leg off of the mat, turning the toes slightly in, and then the left leg comes out to the side. Right arm stretches straight out from the right shoulder. With your right heel pressing into the floor, try and turn your inner right side of the floor as well. And that action will help you to fill up those right side low back ribs so that the right side low back ribs can come down. Right inner side down. There's a little bit of a stretch in your left groin, but it shouldn't be so earth-shattering that it stops you from working on the right leg. The right leg, the straight leg, is the one we're mostly concerned with. Good. Bring your left leg back to center. And now, turn to the side and let's put that into action. So come all the way up to standing. And here we go. Virabhadrasana 2. Fingertips together, bend your knees, jump or step your legs to the side. Again, turn your palms up and let's get that side chest to lift up strongly. Then, right leg is out 90 degrees. Now, as you bend the right knee, the focus is on the back leg. Pinky toe side of the foot down, innermost upper thigh back. Come all the way down to Virabhadrasana 2. My shoulders are stacked over my hips. Right leg at a 90-degree angle. Pinky toe side of my left foot is to the floor. Inner left thigh is back. And as you stack those shoulders over your hips, see if you can take the left side belly to fill up those left side low back ribs. And look out over your right shoulder, your right fingertips. Reach your left arm far behind you. Straighten your legs, turn your toes forward. We'll switch to the other side. Right toes are in. Arms out to the side, turn your palms up, lift your side chest, palms back down, and then left knee is bent. Pinky toe side of the right foot to the floor. Inner right thigh really far back. And as you drop your leg to a 90-degree angle, left leg to 90 degrees, now we're stacking the shoulders over the hips. Right side belly goes into the right low back ribs. Right low back ribs can stay full. Pinky toe side of the foot firmly down. Then look out over your left shoulder, your left arm. Pinky toe side of the foot. Inner right thigh is back. Pinky toe side down. And then straighten your legs. Fingertips together. Back to Tadasana. Okay, Parsvottanasana. So maybe we want blocks for this. Maybe you're fine without them. But Parsvottanasana, we're going to come in by stepping forward and backward. So sometimes, just for demonstration, we take Parsvottanasana and we turn both legs to one side or the other. What typically happens to people when we do this, and I'll see if I can exaggerate it. Can you see I've turned and now I have this fold in my low back. We're going to take by stepping forward and backward because I want you to maintain this Tadasana structure. You're still flexing your butt. You're opening those hip flexors. Belly is moving in and back to fill up these low back ribs. Then take hands to your hips. Step your right leg forward and then your left leg backward. Here we go. So left leg is forward, right leg is backward. Now, it's the right leg that tends to be the toughest leg to work maybe in the beginning. Press the pinky toe side of your foot down, turn your right inner thigh back, and now fold forward. As you fold forward, keep moving that right pinky toe down, right inner thigh back. Then we can come to fingertips to the floor. Now, in essence, we're in a forward bend, just like we started in Uttanasana. So on both feet, press your feet into the floor, press both pinky toes down, but now turn both inner thighs back. That gets us a little bit more length in the low back and more structure, more strength in the low back and the low abs. So even though for some of you, especially those of you who are hypermobile or naturally flexible, coming into this pose can be easy. What we're looking for is for more strength, more structure. So everyone, press both feet down, turn both inner thighs back, and now roll your inner arms forward and see if you can get a little bit more length in your trunk, in your chest. When we come out, we're coming out the same way we came in. So both legs strong, hands to your hips, all the way up to standing. Right steps forward, left steps backward, Tadasana. Switch sides, hands to your hips. Right leg steps forward, lean forward, and step your left leg back. Then before you fold, set your feet. Pinky toes down, inner thighs back. Forward, forward, forward. Pinky toes down, inner thighs back. Then, as you press those pinky toes down and get the inner thighs back, roll your inner arms forward so that the legs are working very hard to move the hips backward. The arms are working very hard to take the chest forward. Then, everything I've already said still applies. I'm giving you just different cues today. But remember, the right side of my belly has to lift up and away from my right thigh. And I want both sets of low back ribs to be full, to be wide. So they're not flexed and jamming inward towards my belly. Instead, my belly is drawing inward and opening up those low back ribs. So come out, hands to your hips, up, left leg is forward, right leg is back, Tadasana. Okay, changing gears just a little bit. Grab your strap and take your strap. We're going to do a little Gomukhasana, cow face pose, with just a little bit of a variation. So take your strap over your left shoulder first. Then you're still standing in Tadasana. My left arm is up, grabbing the strap. I want to pull. I'm grabbing the strap near the middle of my neck or the middle of my spine. So not here to the side. Let's see, watch. When I'm to the middle, I can get, again, a little bit better lift in this. What is this called? This is my arm. But if I come out to the side, now my elbow starts to dip inward. So walk your hand close to the middle of your trunk, the middle of your spine. Lift that left elbow up as high as you can. Then with your right hand, you're actually going to grab low on the strap. And I want basically the back of my fist is near my sacrum, near the top of my pelvis. And from here, I'm looking to get the same armpit lift that I've mentioned a few times. So press the back of your hand into your pelvis, lift your left elbow up, and now see if you can lift your chest up at the same time. So the side chest is lifted. Now, the last icing on the cake, take your belly in and back and fill up those low back ribs and lift that left elbow higher and lift your side chest higher. Good, let go with the right, let go with the left, and then we'll switch sides. Right arm is up, grab a hold of the strap, left hand comes behind. And again, I'm not looking to get just my hands behind my chest. I'm looking to get as much structure, as much strength in this structure. So when your right elbow lifts sky high, you're pulling down a little bit with the strap on your left arm. And more importantly, you're pressing the back of that left hand into the mat. It's not your mat, that's your hip, into your hip. Then take your belly in and back, fill up those low back ribs. And now, should we add some leg work? Press your feet to the floor. Chest lifted. Good. So, Gomukhasana is a good setup for when we take Parsvottanasana with the hands behind the back. Some of you are going to want to bring your hands to the floor. So if balance is an issue, still just bring your hands to the floor. However, remember, we're eventually looking in Parsvottanasana to have the hands in Namaskarasana behind the back. So we'll start with hands to the hips as we come into the pose, or that's what we did last time rather. But now this time I want you to hold on to your wrists this way. You can also hold on to the elbows, or some of you, if you've been practicing, you can take the hands up to Paschima Namaskarasana, right, reverse prayer pose. But in any case, you're going to have the hands bound behind you. Now, when you bind the hands, there's a part of your brain that panics. And I'm telling you, rather than going with the panic of that brain, I want you to just think of the next inch, the next inch, the next inch, the next inch. Side chest stays lifted, belly stays back. And those two actions will be your saving grace. So grab a hold of your wrist, your elbows, take your left leg forward, step your right leg backward. Here, before we come into the full pose, take your belly and move your belly to your back ribs into your arm. Push your right pinky toe to the floor. Turn your right inner thigh back, and inch by inch, chest stays lifted. Don't let the shoulders drop. Pinch your right pinky toe to the floor, right inner thigh back, chest forward, chest forward. Good, now we're going about halfway so that your trunk is about parallel to the floor. Then press both feet down, come all the way up to standing again. Right leg comes forward, left leg comes backward. Under your hands and stand in Tadasana. Okay, we'll switch and do the other side. Grab a hold of your wrist. Right leg steps forward, left leg steps backward. Pinch both pinky toes down, turn the inner thighs, keep the side chest lifted, the armpit chest lifted, the shoulders rolled backward. We're coming about halfway. And as you push your pinky toes down, turn your inner thighs back. And then press both feet to the floor and come all the way up to standing. Left leg comes forward, right leg moves backward. Again, in Tadasana. So you can see where the work of the belly, work of the chest lift, the strength of the legs is how we're eventually going to come into that final pose. So if you're using blocks for Virahas or for this pose for Parsvottanasana, I want you to move them completely off because they become a danger. Just watch me first. I'm still clasping the hands. We're going to take the full pose of Parsvottanasana, which means I'm pushing my feet to the floor. I'm coming forward, but now instead of keeping my trunk parallel, I'm going to reach my hairline towards my top shin, my knee. My chest has to stay lifted. My back leg stays strong. Both inner thighs are back. And then I slowly come out.
Kisa, this is Pam. I have a question.
Hi. Yes.
Your back leg it's slightly rotated, the foot is slightly rotated out, but not a lot.
Correct. Slightly out. Let's see if I can. There. Okay, slightly out to the side. If some of you, you'll need a little bit more. So Pam, I'm thinking of you and Julie. There'll be a little bit more turn out to the side, perhaps. In which case, we're just going to step this foot out a little bit more to the side. Okay. This way, if my foot's too much out, I can get a little twisting in my sacrum. So here, it's fine. Does that make sense? Good? Okay. Now, balance is the biggest challenge here. And again, it's in those moments where we feel like we might fall that we tend to panic and bind up and flex. Instead, I want you to just go back to, we got 1 more inch, 1 more inch, 1 more inch. Refine, or rather repeat, the cues that you've already refined. The back leg foot presses into the floor. The front leg foot presses into the floor. Both inner thighs turn back, and my spine stays strong, supported by the belly action. Belly moving in and back, okay? So here we go. Find the hands. Left leg forward, right leg back. We're not going to stay for long, but we are going to do this controlled. Pinky toes to the floor, inner thighs back. Slowly, inch by inch, keep the chest lifted. Side chest is lifted. Pinky toes to the floor, inner thighs back. And now, start to tuck your chin, drop your head. And as you tuck your chin and drop your head, reach your forehead to the top of your shin. Keep pressing your feet to the floor, inner thighs back, inner thighs back, inner thighs back. And then slowly lift your head. Right leg is forward, left leg is back. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? We'll switch to the other side. Left leg steps forward, right leg steps back. Pinky toes to the floor, inner thighs back. As we come forward then, we're still recycling all those cues we know work. Pinky toes to the floor, inner thighs back. And now we get to that halfway point. And now tuck your chin, drop your head. And as you reach your forehead towards your knee, keep pressing pinky toes to the floor. Keep rolling the inner thighs back. And then slowly lift up. Left leg steps forward, right leg steps backward. Stand in Tadasana. Pretty good for a Monday morning. Okay, we're coming down to the floor, and some of you are going to have different setups for this. If nothing else, and so I have my stack of blankets here, but maybe you've got a pillow or something. I want your feet to hang off because we're going to sit this way. My feet are together. I'm sitting back on my heels, okay? Now, so I'm here. Feet are together, sitting back on my heels. Which means you might, here's some other things that you could do. You might roll your mat up and just sit this way if you don't have blankets, right? I want there to be some support under your ankles though. So once you have that support under your ankles, you can sit back on your heels. And now this pose, so Virasana, we split the legs, we split the feet rather, and our hips come between the feet. This pose, Vajrasana, is like a thunderbolt, right? So kind of a thunderbolt shape. I'm like electricity. We're going to take, in these beginning moments, I want you to just settle into your hips a little bit. Your shins should press down. And then start to observe and notice that in order to find balance or in order to stay upright, we tend to grip the low back and push forward. It can become a little bit more challenging, which is why we're going to use the arms here. So interlace your fingers, turn your palms forward first. And when the palms push forward, I want you to draw your belly in and fill up the space in those low back ribs. So rather than the low back pushing forward, you're pushing your belly into your low back ribs. Good. And keep that pressure of the low belly into the low back ribs and take both arms up. And as you lift your arms up, continue to try and pull the belly into the low back ribs, belly into the low back ribs. And take both arms down. We'll change the interlace of the fingers. Turn the palms out again. Push the hands forward, take the belly backward. Keep pushing the hands, extending the hands away from the armpits. Belly stays in and back, in and back, in and back, in and back. Arms lift. And both arms back down. And stretch out your knees. So bring hands to the floor and just step up into a downward dog. Stretch your calves. And then come down and rest. So using that same sort of blanket stack here, I'm just turning the blanket stack. And some of you might find that rather than a blanket, you'd like to sit on a block. But now we're taking a pose. If Mary Hinkle was here, she could tell you what pose this is. It is Trianga Mukha Eka Pada Paschimottanasana, which means the three-angled Trianga, three-angled, three limbs, Mukha Eka Pada, 1 foot facing, Paschimottanasana, intense stretch of the west. I'll be quizzing you all on that. So in Trianga Mukha Eka Pada Paschimottanasana, I have 1 foot in Virasana. Now, I'm giving you the option to also have 1 foot in Vajrasana. So if you want to sit up a little bit higher, might even look like this. My left butt is on, my right butt is off. So set up so that you've got your right knee bent underneath you. Your left foot is forward. And again, particularly when we have immobilities in the feet. So Julie, Pam, even Robin with some of your ankle and knee issues. Also, I mean, there's lots of us out here, right? Susan, me, we just sit up higher. So if it bothers your knee or your ankle, just sit up higher. Then my left leg is forward. Now, instead of folding forward and taking, again, doing this pose with only my back side, we're going to turn the palms out again, just like you did. My left heel is pressing to the floor, my left inner thigh presses to the floor, and as you press your palms forward here, fill up that space in your low back ribs, and then everyone slowly reach forward, reach forward, reach forward. So you're reaching with your arms forward, keeping your belly to fill up that space. And then we'll come back up, reaching the arms forward. Good. So you feel that, yes? Everybody give me a thumbs up. That the belly can move in and back. Let's switch to the other side. So now the left knee is bent underneath you, right leg is forward. You're sitting on the very rolled edge. Interlace the fingers, turn your palms out. And as you press your palms out, it's that the belly has to fill up that space in the low back ribs. Then push your right heel to the floor, right inner side of the floor, belly into the low back ribs as you reach forward, 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 forward. We're just coming to touch the floor. Belly still moving into the low back ribs, and then reach the arms forward and come back up. Good. So we have to go back to the other side. This time, on the other side, watch me first. Because now we're going to actually do the same roll, the same fold that we did in Parsvottanasana. So arms are forward. I'm taking this high abdomen and moving it into my low back ribs here. Then once I get my fingers beyond, ideally I want my hands to go beyond my feet. Not everyone has the short leg advantage that I have. So some of you, as you're reaching forward, you find that you'll be here, and it just is so much. It's fine. You're just going to drop your hands to the floor and then tuck your chin. What we're working towards is here and then here. So that my forehead is coming to that same spot on my high shin that we did in Parsvottanasana. Okay, your turn.
Lisa, this is Pam again. There's no way I could do the folded leg thing,
Nope,
even with more height. So can I do it with just both legs forward?
absolutely. And you could also practice and just do one leg bent like this.
Okay.
So you're reaching forward this way, which is easier if you're up on higher, but by all means, 2 legs forward, you're still getting the same abdominal work that we're looking. That's an excellent variation. Okay, left leg is forward. And Pam, even in your case, everyone's still pushing the straight leg, inner heel to the floor and turning the inner side down. Interlace the fingers, reach your arms forward, take your belly in and back. Low back ribs get filled up with that high abdomen. Hands all the way to the floor. And now reach your hairline, your forehead above your eyebrows towards the top of your shin. And slowly lift your head. Back up. We'll switch to the other side. So now left knee is bent, right leg is straight, sitting on the very edge of the blanket stack. Interlace your fingers, turn your palms forward, belly in and back. Keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching, but keep drawing your abdomen in to fill up those low back ribs. And then once the fingertips come to the floor, tuck your chin and reach your forehead towards the top of your shin. Inner thighs move to the floor. Inner thighs move to the floor. Inner heel of the straight leg or both straight legs move down. And slowly lift your head. Come all the way back up. And then everyone take both legs forward and sit in Dandasana. So you're still sitting on some support in Dandasana. Sit tall. Then everyone, inhale, raise both arms up. As you lift your arms up, take, again, the high abdomen, move them into the low back ribs, lift your back ribs up to your fingertips. Take your heels to the floor, take your inner thighs to the floor. And both arms back down. Okay. Ideally, you have 2 blocks. And with your 2 blocks, we're going to take our Bhishma Triasana setup. So I have a nice cushy pillow for my head, and then some back support here. Okay. So set up your Bhishma Triasana. You go into Bhishma Triasana, and I'm going to walk you through some instructions that you've heard before a million times, today at least, and probably a gazillion times over the course of our relationship. So when you come into Bhishma Triasana, the low part of the block hits you about in the middle of your back, just below your shoulder blades. Then let your chin stay tucked as you lower your head to the pillow block. At first, I want you to start with your knees bent, feet wide, and then tip your knees in toward each other. In these beginning moments, just rest. You can close your eyes. We're not going to make any great movements in the beginning. In the beginning, we're just getting used to the props, allowing for the abdomen to relax and to sink down, for the collarbones to stretch wide, for the shoulders to be heavy toward the floor. And slowly step your feet toward each other, doing your best to keep your neck soft, your throat soft, your shoulders still draping. And with the feet together, lift your toes up, press your heels down, and straighten your legs. So in the beginning, we're keeping the legs together. Legs are straight. Everyone, take your inner heels to the floor, turn your inner thighs to the floor. And now, take your outer hips down as well. So it's almost like we're pinning the legs to the floor. The strength of the legs really driving the whole length of the legs deep into the floor, deep into the basement. Then, one part of your brain has to be assigned to making sure that the legs stay active, that they're heavy to the floor, that they're constantly pressing into the floor. Then another side of your brain is going to soften the belly and to sink the high abdomen back into those low back ribs. The chest stays wide, the collarbones stay wide. Now you can relax the legs, relax the belly. Just close the eyes for a moment. To come out, bring your hands to the floor near your hips. Step your feet back towards your hips. And now you're pushing your elbows down, you're keeping your chest lifted. And use your arms to help push yourself all the way up. We're trying to really keep that width across the chest as we come into a seated position. Then you can straighten your legs or keep them crossed, but sit tall. Collarbones go wide. Now, it's a pose called Chatuspadasana. It's the four-footed pose. And in Chatuspadasana, it's basically like, we haven't done this in a while, but we did Sarvangasana for a long time. We're working Sarvangasana. Then I've been having everyone really work a lot of Setubandha Sarvangasana, right? Where our legs are extended and our chest is really wide. We might have our hips on a block. Chatuspadasana basically is a way that we can use the strength of the legs and the belly to help create more of the space in the chest. So watch me here first. My feet come close to my hips. My arms are stretching close to my feet. So already in the beginning, I can feel that my back is lifted off the floor. As we come into this, I don't want you to pop up straight into this. Instead, I want you to feel that your neck can be soft, throat soft, that your chest can be lifted and full, but that the belly can actually be drawn down into those low back ribs. So that then when I push my feet all the way up, I'm not pushing with my low back, I'm pressing my feet to the floor and flexing my butt. Then we'll come to this halfway position. I'll give you some more instructions and we'll move on from there. So lie down if you haven't already. Walk your hands towards your feet. And the more you can get your hands towards your feet, your elbows towards your feet, your chest should start to lift slightly. Then, everyone.
Kisa, your sound is gone.
Oh no. Can you hear me now?
It's not gone for me.
Oh, weird.
Oh.
Not gone for me either.
No, can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Shannon?
Oh yeah, there
Shannon?
you are. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so here we go. Feet are to the floor. Walk your hands as close as you can. It's almost like your shoulders are really wrapping towards your feet underneath you. Then keep your belly in and down. Start to lift your hips and grip your butt. Now get to that halfway position. You start to feel like it's halfway because it's a moment where your shoulders could actually roll to the front side of the body. At that halfway position, pinky toe side of the foot goes down. Walk your arms closer to your feet. Take your hands down and into the floor. And now lift your hips up a little bit higher. And come down and rest. So we'll do that again, but I want to make sure there's not any questions, because what I do want is for I want you to feel as though the work of your legs and the structure, the strength of your spine, your abdomen, could actually create more space across, particularly this front top, or front bottom throat, but front top collarbones. If only my back is working so hard, I might sometimes feel like my head is drilling into the floor and my throat gets really tight. So it's hard for me to do this and talk at the same time, because when I talk, my throat gets tight. But as you come up into those last few moments of the position, really soften your throat, allow your neck to lengthen, and see, can you get the upper back to flex a little bit more and the front chest to soften and widen a little bit more. Here we go again. And yes, your legs will get tired, but that's why you pay me big bucks, right? Lay down. Walk your feet close to your hips. Slide your hands close to your feet. Widen your collarbones, and up we come. At that halfway point, you'll have to reach your arms a little bit more to your feet. Grip your upper back. As you grip your upper back and drive your feet, soften your neck and throat. See if you can make your collarbones go wider and your hands go closer to your feet. At the same time, push your feet down, grip your butt to lift your chest even higher. And then come down to rest. One last time. Both feet down. Push your feet to the floor. Lift your hips a little bit. Stretch your arms. Widen your collarbones. And up you come. Look toward your chest. Allow the neck to lengthen. And then down to rest. Now you can just hug both knees into your chest and just roll your knees around a little bit. Left to right, right to left. And then hugging your knees and as close as you can get to your chest, lift your chin, or lift your head rather, tuck your chin, and try and reach your forehead towards your knees. And back down to rest. Feet to the floor. And now we'll take a couple of twists. Well, one twist, Bharadvajasana. So in Bharadvajasana, I like this setup where I have this kind of triangle shape. So that then when I take my legs off to one side, I have actually the support of the triangle at my tailbone. So take your legs off to the right. As you push your right shin down and into the floor, take both sides of your belly in and back and turn towards the left. That work that you did in Chatuspadasana just now to lift the chest up, take particularly the right side of your upper back and move the right side of your upper back into your right chest and lift that right outer corner of the chest high. And back to center, we'll switch sides. Legs forward, Then legs go off to the left. Knees are forward. It's my left leg, my left shin, my left knee that presses to the floor as I turn to the right. Now, turning to the right, it's the left upper back ribs that help us to lift this left side of the chest. And the twist is made even easier if we can take the right side of the belly in towards the right back rib. So two opposing actions, two completely different puzzles to wind and unwind. But see if you can deepen the twist from that Sthira Sukhamasana, that place of steadiness and ease. And back to center. We'll do once more to each side. Legs off to the right. Now, particularly as we're coming to the end of a sequence and we're doing twisting poses, these are not the times for you to get the deepest, best, most possible twist you can. These are the times for you to really find a sense of steadiness and ease. See if how the work that we've already done has set you up to have a progression that brings a sense of quietness, that brings a sense of coolness. So even though we're twisting, we don't have to twist in a heated sort of a way. So turning now again to the left. I'm using that gentle action of my right upper back ribs to open the right front chest to help broaden both collarbones. Continue to anchor your right knee to the floor, right shin to the floor. And then take the left side of the belly, move the left side of the belly into the back ribs. And back to center. We'll switch once more. Legs off to the left. Left knee presses to the floor, turn to the right. Left upper back ribs help broaden and open the left chest. Right belly moves in to open the back of the low back ribs. Continue to push that left knee, left shin to the floor. And again, we're looking for smooth, steady, structured, but very calming, quieting, cooling twist. And back to center. Then cross your legs. You can just sit on the edge of your blankets or sit with your legs straight forward. But sit for a moment and just close your eyes gently. Take a deep breath in, sit tall. And as you exhale, let go any stiffness, any tightness. And then gently open your eyes. And now set up for Shavasana. When you set up for Shavasana, make sure that it's a Shavasana that you can be comfortable in. So you might have some support under your head, some support under your knees, or on the sides of your hips. So this should be a Shavasana that allows you to really relax. Lie down, be comfortable. But then in these beginning moments, take just a few breaths and make whatever minor adjustments you need to make or major adjustments you need to make. But at some point, we have to just be content that this is how we are right at this moment. And to be honest, in this practice of Shavasana, even where there's a little bit of discomfort or discontent, that actually can become the subject of the practice. Rather than paying attention to what's wrong or what's right, that instead we start to transcend that duality, that right, wrong, left, right, good, bad, and bring your attention deeper. We often talk about observing the breath, about taking the inhale and the exhale and starting to note the qualities of the breath. But in this Shavasana, I actually want you to go beneath that breath itself. I'm not really putting any labels or words, but just become aware that there is a sort of movement that's beyond, behind, beneath, at the root of your breathing. The yogis would refer to that as a pranayama, a life force, or rather the training of the life force is pranayama, and the life force itself is prana. And when we practice pranayama, that training of the life force itself, on the surface, it looks like we're just playing with the breath. But I'm asking you now to see what's beneath, what's beyond that breath, that prana, that life force. Let go everything, let go everywhere. And at the end of your next exhale, gently bring your hands to your belly. Allow your eyes to softly, slowly, gently open. And then slowly turn to your side and push yourself up to sit. I honor all of you for taking this time to be here with your bodies in yoga, and I thank you for your continued practice and study. It is my experience that this practice makes us better people, and together we make the world a better place. Namaste.